till 1. We're going to be chewing it over. Now, obviously, we'll be talking about my favourite interest, which is usually healthcare and education, but also just one of the reasons for this is because there's lots of people fancying chatting about various different topics. As the world is a very different place than it was even 6 months ago, and so of course there's people that are interested in hearing about all things developing in the work that we typically do in and around physio matters, as well as my opinions on various topics, which therefore they can have interviews on this show. We can do all sorts of different things. We've also got a radio studio that's not being used nearly as much as it usually would do because of the nature of the pandemic. And so we were wanting to try and put something together. Now, this is a test broadcast just to make sure that the channels that we're planning to move this to are working. And so hopefully my colleague is able to hear me. And Jim, you can post some comments and see if we can get them through and test whether this is working or not. So if you're stumbling across this now, don't worry, this isn't the first show. We're not going to be going into anything now. But just as an example, within musculoskeletal practice, which is obviously my specialty, I'm always looking at ways in which we can try and reach new audiences, but also just discuss things more thoroughly within the community that we have. And so in this instance, the amount of times that people have been asking for mine or our commentary on various different topics, both attached to healthcare and education, digital space, digital marketing, but also then just our opinion and take on various different current affairs that obviously affect us all. And so what I would be excited to do is that when these things emerge, instead of us having to wait for future live streams that we've got planned or podcasts that we only do once a month, etc., we've got various different things happening whereby there's always going to be something topical and interesting to talk about. And therefore, having the ability to say, let's talk about that tomorrow, and that nothing is ever longer than a day away. And so when it comes to weekdays, we're going to put this out as a radio show, essentially a brief radio show at 12:30 till 1 o'clock each day on weekdays. Won't always be me. I think the majority of the time it will be, but also, where I need cover or if people want to get involved, then my team will be able to cover. But also we can get guests on. We can discuss things. If something kicks off on social media that needs discussing, or there's a difference of opinion, then we can have those things out as close to the moment as possible, because we've got the facility and ability to do this. And so we're really looking forward to doing that. Now we're pushing this as far and wide as we can in terms of channels, just because we want to try and use the technology. So Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. I think we've even put this out on a Twitch stream, which is usually a gaming channel. But also then we're hopefully going to get access to LinkedIn Live. They've got a new live feature that a few premium users can use. So we're just trying to put this out in a few different places and see how it goes. I won't say it's a pilot by design, because we've got some real good plans for it, but it may well be that we try and work this up and essentially get this as a regular feature. Now, an example that kicked off specifically in the MSK space recently was that obviously there was a viral video of Kelly Holmes, the former Olympic gold medalist, twice Olympic gold medalist, getting some treatment on her Achilles, of which she's had surgery on a Haglund's deformity and stuff. And so there was some cupping and some what people considered to be dubious practices, mainly as the fact that it was clearly inducing a lot of pain, and one of the reasons she was posting that. And so a storm brewed, and people were talking about it. Now, there's lots of things to be said and lots of reflections on that episode, that it's important for us to normally we would commentate on those things, but it's not appropriate just to use one channel. It's not always, Twitter isn't conducive for nuanced discussion, and so it could well be something that we chew over here. Similarly, in terms of current affairs, etc., it just feels like some of the things that we've got going on, it could well be that people are often DMing me on Twitter or sending us emails and things asking for our opinion as to whether or not things are going to influence policy in a positive or negative way. Some of the geopolitics, especially in and around the pandemic, people wanting our opinions on it, not because we're political actors, but because these things do influence healthcare policy and people are interested in our opinion on it. And there's absolutely no reason why we can't discuss this here. And so it looks like things are working, because I'm getting messages coming in through different channels, which is great. So thank you, Jim. We've got the Facebook test, got YouTube test, that's reached us. Alison Bartup just stumbled across, but very interested. Brilliant. Thank you, Alison, where you can join, and certainly from next day, from bank holiday next week. Otherwise it would have been Monday, but yeah, Tuesday. So 1st of September, we'll be running this and seeing how that goes. And just having an ability for us to then say, good point. We'll talk about it tomorrow, and being able to do that and even bring people on. Matt Scarsbrook, Twitch, so down with the kids. Exactly. We definitely want to be doing that. We want to be as current as possible. I'm rejecting TikTok for various reasons, but certainly, yeah, we thought when it offered us that option, we thought, why not set up a Twitch stream as well, reach some new people. But Gemma Oliver, daily dose of chew, perfect. Yes, unfortunately, that is one of the, I would argue, downsides, and I can only assume Gemma is being appropriately sarcastic. You will be hearing plenty from me and us, and also. Gemma, you're going to get roped into this. I've noticed Ollie Coburn, love a chat, don't you? Yes, absolutely. Let's not pretend I don't love the sound of my own voice, but unfortunately, there's a few people that have been asking for more of it. And so it means that people like Gemma, Ollie, Matt, and even Alison, you can be dragged on if you've got an opinion to share it. It will be, talk radio. You can sort of phone in, call in, video in if you want to. But also the opportunity for us to just have a radio show that's essentially relevant to it. It could be playing in the background of a staff room, or it could be something, of course, you can watch live or after the fact. And so it's just something that we'd be able to cover things in real world commentary terms, where you're not always having to, if actually Physio Matters, etc., is almost a bit of a dated medium in that it's kind of, by the time it's delivering news, it's old news. Now, obviously, our format means that we're not talking about things that date very easily. But when it comes to actually, like we thought about doing a Physio Matters newscast, we've done these Physio Natters things, which are more current topics in the industry. But these things, the news moves on fast. And so that's why in lunch break time, 12:30 till 1, we're gonna bring this out and see how that goes. So huge thank yous to everyone that's clearly already listening even to this. Now Jim is on Periscope, meant to be testing these streams for me and checking that the comments work, but he's now heckling me, so he said it's any excuse to talk. Absolutely, I'm not going to pretend that isn't part of it. But generally, it's about us making sure that we don't shy away. We've had some accusations, and some of it's legit, is that partly because we're busy, but also people thinking that I'm shying away from topics that I would normally pass comment on. And it's absolutely not the case, and certainly not something that we want to be hiding from anything. So we're just going to try this out, see how it works, see if there's an interest for it, and see how we go. Yeah, I'm getting all these comments through. Thank you so much. Thanks, Steve. Lovely to hear from you, mate. And certainly you'll be another one that we'll probably be drafting in on certain issues where possible, and the ability to say, are you free tomorrow or later in the week, or just booking people in and just having a chat and chewing it over. And so like anything, we just want to be honest with our opinions and think in public, which is also something that, of course, you've seen from our think tank, MSK Reform. We're going to be doing some work more on the thinking in public streams. And so we just want to make sure we kind of get everything together. So if you've stumbled across this, I'm really looking forward to it. But join us for a proper show on Tuesday, in which we'll be talking over all things current. And there's never a lack of things to talk about in our industry, but also it's things that reach beyond it. Things that Physio Matters started to be criticised for sort of reaching beyond certain things. And that's why we had these Health Matters shows and Patient Matters shows. And we've also got some exciting new developments in the Physio Matters network that we've got to announce very shortly. And so September's a big month for us in general, but one of the ways to coordinate this and just bring this through is, instead of things like this that are more shooting the shit, loose ideas, instead of those encroaching on some of our other work, instead let's have them as an independent show. Let's have it more regularly, more frequent, more current, and so people can tap into it if they want to, and it just be there for people that want to have that sort of thinking out loud style approach to things that doesn't feel dated by the time it gets discussed. And so that's the idea of it. Let's see how it goes, and thank you to all of you or any of you that do join us both live and passing comments. And so as has been shown already on this, is that the comments do come in from various different sources. It tells me where you're watching, and it gives me a snapshot of how we can make this interactive. So I'm glad we've been able to do this. I'm going to clock off for now and just check that both the after the fact streams work as well. And yeah, we'll see you on Tuesday if you fancy joining us to chew it over. All right then, take care.